Yeah, very much so. And that hoodwink picked up by Winstrike, which we've seen quite a lot today. Well, that probably be a 5, won't it, with the Phoenix and 4?
Yeah, I mean, you can flex it depending on the lanes. I think that one of the advantages of the hoodwink. I think Alliance showed that in ESL, where it's like, yeah, we'll play our 5 if it's necessary. We can play our 4 if necessary, even though they didn't ever feel the need. I think the hero, Jenkins said it well. You're never sad to see a hoodwink. You have a stun. You're hard to kill. You have a huge amount of damage. The hero fits in most
Got
drafts,
a
honestly.
break.
Yeah.
Break's good against the Enchantress, so why not? Why not to pick it?
Yeah, it's also the Acorn shot's nice against these heroes that like, having creep next to them, like a Chen, like a Wisp +1, so Acorn shot naturally giving you a bounce makes that easier to execute. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they try and lane this hoodwink versus the Ench to try and get some counterplay there. We'll see. I think the Phoenix, pardon me, has traditionally been the favored matchup there. As out comes the Faceless Void. This time we do have better damage into Chronosphere. We've seen this combo really, really shine with Phoenix and Faceless Void, but we've also sometimes seen it not work out too well in the past, haven't we, Avo?
That game will scar me for life. That was not the best game ever. No, I mean, usually the Phoenix won't Icarus dive into the Chrono. That is something reserved for some NA teams. Winstrike, I think, will be able to execute this pretty well. I think it's a very safe combo. One of the things I like about this draft right now is that, I mean, you start with the Axe and we go, that's a combo, yes. But Berserker's Call, not the easiest spell to hit. If the enemy team is smart, they have good movement, they can avoid the Axe. We saw that a bit with PugChamp actually yesterday. But if you have the Void Chrono to add to it, yeah, all of a sudden you're in a pickle of your Empire. I'm assuming that's a 4 Lina, I think. I would be very surprised if they put a mid Lina against what Winstrike is running.
Yeah, it seems fragile, especially considering the amount of balls that Winstrike have in this China shop. I very much.
It's a good point.
Would be surprised.
I think it is a bit of a flex. It has been Seiyu, taking the Lina. I don't see at least more than one game on Lina though for Depressed Kid. He's much more of your Invoker, your TA, your Tiny, even Void Spirit. He's preferred to go to. So I think it ought to be definitely a support here is what they're going to be running it as. But you still have that flex potential, which is probably something that Winstrike, much like PugChamp did yesterday, is not going to be too concerned about because they already have the answers to the Lina, as you guys are saying.
Empire banning out that Rebel Doom, which he likes so much. I guess that makes sense to me.
So Winstrike, they do think it could be a mid Lina. I honestly think it's because of the Doom ban, because you ban the tanky core is usually the best way to deal with a Lina. Mid, just the tanky strength core that can survive a bunch of damage. Doom being one of the best. We've seen the DK, Kunkka sometimes in a softer counter or Tiny softer, but I really would not like to see a mid Lina with considering how easy it is for Winstrike to catch her. Like it could be a possibility. Go ahead if you feel the confidence, Empire. But I also feel like there's no clockwork, but you still can kill it easily.
What would you like to see mid instead of Alina?
Honestly,
if I can chime in, I'd like to see something with burst. I want something that can get rid of or at least threaten this Phoenix or Hoodwink. If they're out of position, I want them dead instantly. Lina can kind of do that, but that does put her at a vulnerable position. I want something a little bit expendable, maybe like a Tiny. You can still flex that mid 4 potentially here.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Maybe one of the spirits as well, because they have that burst to a degree, maybe less than a Tiny, but still good burst and mobility. And you don't have many consistent stuns or stuns you can throw out. So Storm, Ember particularly, seems pretty solid here. It's really hard to catch an Ember, and Hoodwink is really weak against Ember. You can annoy the Void inside the Chrono as well.
Yeah, I like that as well, actually. One of the spirits giving you... The only problem is I was just suggesting a flex between 4 in case you still wanted to maybe run Lina mid or Tiny mid. The spirits would define it a little bit, setting you up for potentially a strong last pick from Winstrike. We'll see what Empire go with. It's the Puck. Wow.
Yeah. Burst and mobility.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I actually, in my mind, I presumed, of course, there's no Puck anymore. Like, it's too late. But yeah, I think that's the perfect pick. It's literally a combination of what we both said. Burst and mobility, hard to catch, and now Winstrike is in a pickle. And they picked it immediately. Empire probably was laughing, like, what are they doing banning supports?
Yeah.
What are we going to play? Mid Lina
against Void? The Abaddon ban is an unusual one.
It is, because that's a Van Score hero, I'll tell you that. He's gone to it a couple of times in this patch, but I don't think they've ever last picked the Ava for him. And also, I don't think they've ever picked an Ench and not put it on Van Score. So that is a little bit, that one's a bit confusing to me. I might be wrong about that one. but for the most part, it has been Vanscore's edge. Either way, we've got a very slippery hero in this Puck. We have Chrono and Call and maybe Bushwhack, but good luck catching Puck with the Bushwhack. What's the answer then? Oh, a bat?
A bat.
It's a Rebel hero.
Second. Fair enough.
It can
Does he
run
play a lot of mid-bat? Because we don't
Oh,
see
yeah.
much mid-bat these days.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he loves it, and he's locked it in already. I know you guys can't see this. Oh no, you can't see this in our lovely
I
draft
can.
overlay.
We
Shout
can
outs
see this.
to the draft overlay. Yeah. He plays a lot of mid lane bat. The only concern I have is that I really like Winstrike whenever they put Rebel on a potential win condition, and Bat Rider mid lane is very much utility after the first 25 minutes of the game. It's going to be all in for Void. We've got a good supporting cast for the Void, but to me, Winstrike is at its strength when we have Rebel on like a TA and a SF, something like that.
How about you, Avo? How do you feel about these drafts?
I'm a fan of the bat. I think the bat's solid. You can run down the puck out of lane. The Lina is still food for you as it is for most of the heroes, honestly, on Winstrike. I think he's pretty solid against the DK and Enchantress for the most part of the game. Sometimes hard to get to the Luna, but if once you get a Blink Dagger, you can just drag her and Luna out of position struggles. I really like the Winstrike draft. I mean, I don't think... I think what I like about Winstrike draft is just so easy to run this, right? They have good teamfight combos, but nothing too wacky. No big wombo combos you need to pull off. Just solid game. I'm liking this draft. I think it's exactly the draft I'd want if I've just lost my last 2 games. So I think it's a good idea.
I like Winstrike as well, I think. But on that note, I will leave you guys to get on with it, and I will head off. But I hope everyone enjoys the game.
I like what you're saying about this combo, Avo. I think you've got a great point here. The issue that I see, though, is Team Empire, they've got 4 heroes that you're not concerned about really killing ever, unless it's like super late game with the Luna. There is one hero that I think you're going to struggle with a bit, especially if we don't itemize correctly for it, and that's going to be this DK, because we don't have the best ways of killing him, even inside a Chronosphere. He's just a little bit too tanky for that until we get like MKBs and this Void becomes a bit more of a Chrono killing machine. Until then, I could see potentially Petushara just kind of having his way in this game. He's not quite as annoying as a Timbersaw at the very least. He is going to be limited a bit by his cooldown on that Blink Dagger and the timing especially, but he could very much throw a wrench in the works of the team fight here for Winstrike.
The shift between throw a wrench in the works and throw there was important. I do, I think there's a point where the batter just runs out of damage. Either you get him with the sharpshooter to get rid of his Dragon Blood, and then you can kill him with the Chrono, but still a bit difficult depending on how he itemizes, or DK stays alive. In fact, this is a really good game for a DK Ags at a certain point, right? You just become a killing machine with very few items, probably like Blink Dagger. I'd like a Hood, I'm not gonna lie. I think a Pipe would nullify a lot of Winstrike's damage. It'd be a good idea, but we'll see. I'm not siding heavily with either draft. I think both drafts have good strength. Oh, Yamich. We're gonna go for him. All 5 heroes. Nice pushback onto 3. Petushara has a Dragon Tail. We'll deal with Pantomim, who leveled level 1 Fire Spares to save his support. And instead, he will be the support to die.
Good start here. Giving that one to Depress Kid as well is going to really help him quite a bit in this somewhat unfavorable matchup. And in fact, more than somewhat, I will say it is unfavorable. Not much you could really do. You know, Phase Shift and Illusory Orb really great for dodging these really, really big, high mana intensive cost abilities. Something like versus a Pugna is what I'm thinking. Whereas Bat Rider, of course, the exact opposite. Lots of damage over time. Sticky Napalm, of course, just 20 mana. So that'll get him maybe even a full stick or a full wand, or if he decides, yeah, there's going to be the stick, and then immediately into the bottle with that first blood bonus. Empire, by the way, 4 bounty runes, so it gets better for them here immediately from the get-go.
That's true. It's a very good start for them. Well, let's see how this develops, though. As I don't think that kill matters as much as the bounty runes, not gonna lie. So, yeah, 1k lead. Pretty big deal. What do you think have the stronger lanes here?
Overall, by the way, are the health bars a bit darker as of this update? Is that something you're noticing as well here? Feels like that's been changed. As far as lanes go,
Maybe.
I'm kind of still liking this Empire safe lane a lot more. I think Cheshire Cat eventually is going to be okay in this lane versus the Luna, but the early levels, much like a Timber or a DK would against a Luna, they are going to suffer a bit. Yeah, that's how I feel about that. And then top lane, again, I'm just not sure Petushara is ever scared of Dyrachyo in this Phoenix. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
They need just so much to kill him, and even then, you have a Lina who's able to put in a bunch of chip damage, always threatening to counter-initiate with a stun, and plenty of damage as well on that LSA. So I like these Empire side lanes. Mid lane is potentially where, you know, everything falls apart. Because it is a Bat Rider, and giving him a decent start in the lane, even though I did say this DK is relatively unkillable, early, Bat Rider is going to make a quick snack out of him, and that won't be too much of an issue for him.
Yeah, and against the Puck, like I said, you can just run him out of the lane at one point, right? And especially if you've misused the Illusory Orb, like it puts the Presskit in a difficult position because you can't really push out the lane with Illusory Orb because you know you're losing your escape against the Bat, and then he can just run you down under the tower. So it's tough for the Presskit. Obviously not now, but once he gets a couple of levels, or many stacks rather.
That's a good point. It's a lot like how Sand King like kind of has issues, right? Because your escape or your whatever, and a lot of your damage is also tied to your one ability, right? So you kind of want to use both, but you have to be cautious about how that can put you out of position, especially versus a hero like you're saying can stack up this damage. So long as Rebel, of course, doesn't miss the Napalm stacks, as he's able to already collect one of the water runes, and we actually did jaunt over to this from Depressed Kid. There's his own bottle, and of course a full wand already, but he will miss out on the refill, so Rebel's gonna... Oh, who doesn't have a bottle, by the way, is looking to pick up both. Depressed Kid is not gonna beat him to it. Just a bit too fast.
That's unfortunate. Quite a win for Rebel, though. Being able to get that... Stop the Puck from getting the bottle refill, as his bottle's gonna come in as full as well from the Courier. But top lane, I agree. I mean, I feel like the side lanes are pretty strong for Empire already. So even if Winstrike manages to win that middle lane, which is, by the way, quite even right now, it's not that concerning to you. I do feel like bottom, as you said, Petushara will do decently halfway through it, but I still give an edge at any point to the Luna Enchantress. I'm a big believer in the Enchantress. You also give her the aura from the Luna, and you're like, okay, you know, Vanscore can do whatever she wants this lane. Sure, enchanting a creep and hitting the axe is not ideal, but the Squirrel is never going to be able to get away from her. So there will be a point where they have to play super defensive if they don't want to die against this combo.
Quick question for you, Avo. How do you think these eggs are going to be served this game? Because I see this Empire lineup and I go, okay, they're pretty damn good at destroying it, right? Puck not bad, Lina, and she even can get a couple hits in there. And of course, if Luna's within range, that egg is going down pretty darn quickly. But you look at the counter initiation here that we've got on Winstrike, and you know, perhaps what's going to be looking like a scrambled egg is going to turn into something more, a little bit of an omelet, you know, with all of Empire inside of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking the eggs are going to be served sunny side up, honestly. They're almost always going to complete because I feel like they're only going to use them with the Chrono. Maybe early we see some defensive eggs, but I agree with you. You have a lot of heroes that can hit egg, like a fair amount of them. And you're going to just try to hit them in Chrono and put the Chrono in a choke point or in a certain way so that the few heroes you don't catch in Chrono that can hit the egg aren't able to go through with it, right? That's how I'm seeing it. I don't think it's going to be maybe like a five-man supernova because you'll give Empire a bit of a chance to retreat, particularly if you don't catch, like, say, the Luna or even the DK or the Puck. But it is going to be mostly successful, I'm imagining. We'll see, though. It depends a lot on execution here. Like, I did say it's an easy combo to execute, but the positioning of the Chrono has to be on point. I just believe in Duracho. He's a really solid Void player, has a lot of experience on this hero, so I don't think he's going to mess that up too much.
And speaking of experience, Cheshire Cat, who is taking a bit of a beating down bottom lane, as the Bushwhack from Yamich will at least prevent him from taking too much damage out from the Luna. Lucent Beam ready to go a second time. Cheshire Cat here is going to be safe. Healing Salve popped in the trees, and he's good to go. Hoodwink, though, a bit lower on regen. Might be forced out of lane for some time here. Speaking of Cheshire Cat, though, like I wanted to say, is they've got a powerful counter initiation tool on himself, assuming he can get a good Blink Dagger timing, because we don't have too much to keep him at bay until this Luna Shard comes online in terms of canceling his Blink Dagger. It seems like a pretty decent game to be playing an Axe.
Yeah, maybe if Lina goes for a Yule Scepter, right? That's the other potential counter you have, because usually Lina's four Linas rather are giving a bit more farm, right? And since you're playing Enchantress on Vanscore, you can afford to do that. Top lane, though, they're going to go for the Phoenix. He has the Icarus dive. They know they can't murder him.
Oh, he goes
Duracho instead is trying to get the counter kill against Sayu. They're going to slow him down a bit. Sayu in trouble with time dilation. Now finally gets rid of it. So is the Magic Stick as well, so he was most likely not going to die. Trying to bait out Duracho for the last kill. Alright, with a Dream Coil. They catch it to the Void, who is stunned. Do they have a Dragon Tail? They do, but they don't even need it. The damage for Illusory Orb will finish him off. I guess he was dead regardless, right? If he broke the Dream Coil or not, so Duracho just accepting himself.
And I want to highlight a key a key thing to note here about this mid lane matchup, but what I want to say, Batrider, although he does kind of push Puck out of lane, he doesn't threaten the tower, right? And that's an issue because then Puck is free to just rotate around the map freely and get kills like this. And on a hero like a Puck, that's a very viable alternate playstyle compared to like a DP, you know, who is not going to be as successful in these side lane ganks. Rebel, though, going to counter gank top lane now as they do hit Seiyu with the 1 stack of time dilation. Flame Break will push him back into the hands of Duraccio. Second slow applied, and that is going to be a kill onto the Lina.
All right. Good rotation there by Rebel, at least mirroring the rotation on Puck. Not as effective, but, you know, you get what you can... You take what you can get, rather. And as I said in the bottom lane, that is stupid Enchanter's creep is already routing Axe out of the lane. What do you do here? Seriously, that creep is so powerful. If you don't have the right lineup against the Enchanters, you haven't picked up heroes against her, she just becomes insanely powerful and just have to accept it.
Fan score?
Unless Fan score's out of position, though. Okay, that's also an option.
The ultimate
Caster's Cursor. Yeah, quite literally, huh?
There underneath a ward. That unfortunately has given the gold for Cheshire Cat to finish off the Vanguard. He's still not completely at home in this lane, though, until he gets that just the casual cloak, because, again, Smiley Knight is going to be more than happy to continue just spamming these Lucent Beams on him. Another rotation coming top lane, though. They want a second kill onto the Void, and in fact, they'll even commit the Coil here for the kill, and a rather easy kill here a second time with that Coil. We have a Wagon as well, and a big push in the top lane. In exchange, at least Winstrike are trying to push mid, and they do force rotations, but DK by himself is going to be able to take that top tier 1 tower.
Yeah, and that's already a really, really good start going with Empire. We've talked about this before, by the way, where the lineups without stuns, which Winstrike certainly is one of them, or not too many reliable stuns, rather. They do have lockdown, but not the easiest to catch people with. They struggle if they start to lose map control, and they start to just lose in general the game. They're not good lineups to play from behind. Luckily, you have a Batrider that can get you back into the game, but these kills need to start happening relatively soon if they want to prevent Empire from just running away with this game.
All right, this could be a game changer, though. Rebel's rotating top with a DD rune. Most importantly, he's only 350 gold away from the BOTs. Kill onto Seiyu should be, yeah, relatively easy, as Seiyu struggling to even turn around and cast the LSA will be killed off by the right clicks. Not bad. We at least get something, punishing Team Empire for playing ultra aggressively, and this should give enough space and time for Rebel to finish up the BOTs, and we'll see how he can get the ball rolling from here, pardon me.
Yeah, he ain't got a Faded Brooch, actually one of the better items on Batrider early. But the Press Kid went for a Witch Blade, whereas Batrider went for his version of Midas, right? So the Press Kid is still going to be able to... I mean, those are the BOTs done. You're going to be able to help in some lanes. It's great. You can push out lanes and farm faster. But it's not until you get your second item that you can really start fighting effectively. So either you rely on Cheshire Cat's timings, or maybe you go with Yamage and try to murder anything that's a bit too far off. Empire can certainly prevent this right now.
Very true.
Again, there's the Pushwhack. They might be able to... No, he has the 1 point in Nature Attendance. That's going to be enough. Vanscore also using the creep from behind. In fact, they want to initiate this, but the Press Kid might be alone here. There's Vanscore joining again, smiling at us well. Pantomime, everyone is joining this enemy triangle. In fact, even Seiyu is here. The Dream Coil does not catch the Phoenix, though, which means that Winstrike will be able to get away with their life.
Yeah, Empire were really hoping just for at least a pick-off, or maybe both supports would have been ideal, because we had Elder Dragon form just popped in the mid lane, so Petashar was very eager to continue applying pressure here. Unfortunately, they're going to have to back off after not connecting onto any crucial spells. At the very least, they don't lose anything for this, so they can be quite happy with this exchange, or at least they'll be satiated with it. I like the BOTs, by the way, for Rebel, because... like you're saying, you don't want to fall too far behind in map control, and if there's one thing Rebel can do is not only get solo kills onto Vanscore, as of course Vanscore is going to be the taking his second death here to the Batrider, but he can de-push these lanes relatively easily, very quickly, and with the BOTs he can do it all at once, allowing the rest of the team to recover in the jungle, and not allowing Empire to completely close off your map.
Yeah, that's why it's not as greedy if you pick him on the Batrider, but you still can't force the initiations of Empire to place this defensively, which I think should be their choice right now. Like, just farm jungle with Luna, let Lina die a bunch of times, because at least at this point you have to accept it against the Batrider. Maybe let Puck be the one that's like front-facing to a degree and pushing out the lanes, and that way Winstrike won't be able to do too much just yet. Of course, the issue is that Winstrike is just going to be waiting for their items, right? Once they get the Blink Dagger and Axe, once they get the second item on Batrider, whether it be BKB or Blink Dagger, that's when we're going to see the aggression coming up from Winstrike. So I actually kind of see the travels on Batrider similar to the Midas on Tiny sometimes. You're not meant to fight now on 5-on-5 engagements. You're still useful, mind you, right? You can push out lanes, but you're only going to get kills that are easy for you. You're not going to force kills out. And because your timings are still 20 minutes and beyond, it's fine. It's justified.
That's a very apt analogy. Now, I have one concern with that, is the fact that you are not really looking to apply too much pressure to a Luna in the early game, who already has the Mask of Madness and 1,400 gold in the bank. So, you know, we're getting through what is one of Luna's more vulnerable periods of the game. Obviously, I agree with you. We should wait for this second timing period, but it does feel like this is going to be at the opportunity cost of giving Luna a nice start in the game, regardless of what you really want to do with your own.
Yeah, that is one of the difficulties that you have on Faceless Void, and we've seen this. We saw this, what? Was it the Puck Champ match where Terrorblade versus Faceless Void, right?
I believe it was, yes.
We talk about the core-to-core matchup, and if Void gets Terrorblade in the Chrono and he has enough items, but he never has enough items. That's what it feels like to me with Void. You just never farm fast enough compared to any of the carries in this patch. Like the Terrorblade, the Lunas, the Medusas, they just out-farm you naturally, and by the time you build your Maelstrom, they're already like 3k ahead, and it feels bad. So even though I don't think the Void matchup against Luna is like a perfect matchup, it's solid enough if you just equal her items. And it seems like that's going to be a difficulty for Winstrike. You need to be able to hunt down this Luna, or at least slow down this game once the Void needs to go into full recovery mode.
Yep.
The thing I like about their draft this time, though, is that Axe and Batrider are not heroes that require insane itemizations. Once you get into the mid game, you get your core items and you're good. So they can be full space creators, go for kills, which are also not hard to get because they're a good gank squad, and then let Void farm all the easy farm in the map, which is, a way to recover.
And Avo, I want to tie this conversation a little bit back to the meta at large and at hand. I think what we're describing is kind of why we see a lot of supports have this kill potential, and we see a lot of the utility being carried by the mid laner and the off laner here, right? I think like this game kind of exemplifies that with, your 1 or 2 item timing on your mid and off lane respectively. You use that, then you can hunt for kills, but you need to bring one of your supports with the kill potential. This game, a lasso into a sharpshooter should be more than enough damage here with a Luna, especially if Axe is ready to go with a call and a dunk at hand. So I think that's kind of why we've seen the meta kind of develop into the state. All the while, of course, your carry is trying to get Omega farmed. The problem is the enemy team has the tools to do that immediately. And speaking of, here goes Empire with a 2-man smoke.
Yeah, exactly. So they use the ganking squad, the Puck, Lina, maybe the Enchantress too, maybe the DK if he gets Blink Dagger relatively soon, and then you just go and find kills with these heroes and protect your Luna by positioning her properly. And this way it makes it difficult for Winstrike to do much, because like I said, they have the tools to only get the easier kills. So Empire's playing like somewhat defensively and going for the right ganks with these smokes. I think they're playing this game really well right now.
Oh, they can't. Yeah, they are. I think the biggest difference between these two is we talk about the dual timings, the dual item timings, that is for Winstrike and their cores, being the Blink and whatever second item of Batrider is going to be, Blink for the Axe, of course. But we look at Empire, we really just need experience, don't we? Blink on Batrider, or sorry, Blink on DK would be nice for the initiation, so that Depressed Kid doesn't have to Elusive Orb in and put himself at risk. But because we already have the levels on a Puck, I mean, you're good to go, basically. That's why we already have 2 deaths, of course, on the Faceless Void, and none on the Luna.
Yeah, especially because you went for Witchblade, right? Whereas Witchblade just gives you all that you need to get these early kills. Puck already has the mobility, as you said. And it's not like Witchblade is like the... I would struggle to call it core, because core tends to refer to the items that activate you, but it's all you need for the early game, I'd say.
Yeah.
Nice deny, by the way, there. If Vrabel gets that regen rune, he could have had some free farming for a while, so well played. And look, they're even disturbing the Void's farm, because since Duracho is not the main space creator right now, they can't give him the safe farm. They need to get Axe online, which they just did. But they have, at this point, sacrificed a bit of Duracho's farm as a result.
Another kill onto Ench.
Okay, good kill on Vanscore.
Committing lasso for it. Worth it. Don't get me wrong. Like you're saying, we're going for these easy, opportunistic kills. We don't really need to try and take care of the DK quite yet. He is about to finish up his own Blink Dagger, however, so he'll be just shy, about a minute shy here of Cheshire Cat's own timing, and I believe they have scouted Cheshire Cat on this Observer Ward. They may have just missed him. They may have just missed him. Now they see him for sure. Yeah, so the Blink Dagger, unfortunately, not going to be much of a reveal from Cheshire Cat. Empire should be aware of it.
He was listening to us like, you know what, I'm going to let him see me for a second, just in case, so these casters can't be wrong. What a nice dude, Cheshire Cat.
Thank you.
Yeah, so they saw the smoke. They should see the particles for sure, and Empire's like, okay, I guess we smoke too. We have a better ganking squad. As long as they initiate, they're stronger than the Axe. They just need to prevent that Blink Dagger from being impactful. In fact, they're going to go for the triangle. They should guess where the Void is farming. Instead, it's going to be a Phoenix, though. So maybe
Phoenix,
just
by
find
the way,
Void
without
instead.
boots, just the full Holy Locket.
But he's dead, though. So Holy Locket's not going to save you from this one. I'm pretty certain they were expecting the Void there, not the Phoenix stacking. But hey, you take what you can get.
Yep, they're not going to be too disappointed with that. Plus, they knew where 3 enemies were, so it's space. This might still give you the tower, to be honest.
Yeah, if the tower gets taken, that's good, but it's still pretty decent for Winstrike that they didn't catch a Void, right? I think they're quite happy with him tanking the gank there. And if now they can get a kill here, they're going to go for Dragon Knight first. A bit difficult, but Sharpshooter might help him out. And Sharpshooter almost fully charged. Eclipse. Oh no! They missed the Sharpshooter, which means Winstrike has to retreat. In fact, Duracho has been caught with a Drain Coil. He's going to die immediately to the Illusory Orb. No chance against Empire. That Sharpshooter was crucial. Though I will say, maybe DK not the best target to start the team fight against.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was referring to, right, during my post little quip after the draft ended, was I don't know if they really killed Petusharo too early in this game, and, you know, without getting the stacks of the Napalm collected already, and of course Sharpshooter missing, that doesn't make it very easy whatsoever. Yamich at the very least is itemizing, I believe, to be correct for this. Not only does he carry the break on Sharpshooter, but will eventually be able to pick up a Spirit Vessel halfway towards at least the Vit booster now, so decent progress being made by the Squirrel.
Yeah, that's true. Yamich is going to have a way to deal with the healing, to cancel some Blink Dagger. That Spirit Vessel, not bad. But I still don't think it's a hugely impactful item if you're going to go against the DK. Like you either need to start with a Sharpshooter, which is very difficult to do, especially on a 4 Hoodwink, or just don't go on the DK. That's my option, honestly. Just don't go on the DK. Any other hero is honestly quite killable if you hit him with a stun, not DK.
Not the
Because Sharpshooter is chargeable, right? Like, if the break was immediate and you could just use it, like old Vendetta, right, or Nether Toxin, it'd be like, okay, DK is killable, right? But it's not immediate. It takes at least 3 seconds if you want to get the full damage. If you don't want to get full damage, still 1 or 2.
Bottom.
Dragon Tail onto Racho. That's an immediate stun. He's going to die to the Dragon Slave.
Yeah, he is. But the puck coming out to eat the max Sharpshooter. The coil is dropped at least on a Cheshire Cup, but he's there with the call and the dunk. The hide in the phase shift did not benefit Depressed Kid whatsoever. Rebel looking for more. This courier is going to scout out Petushara. Oh, and that's going to be the Ogre Axe taken out. Not that's the full BKB, but 200 strength now, or 200 HP rather, missing from the DK until that courier respawns.
So there was the point that we were making, right, where Winstrike can take kills if you put them in their territory. Now with the Blink Dagger and Batrider, it becomes even easier for them to start proposing kills. So go for these kills on Empire. You just kill Void. You go, I can do this again. He's an easy kill. Good idea. But certainly the positioning there may be a bit overzealous because Winstrike just got given a chance to respond to you. At least Luna was pushing on the top lane and she put some damage into the tower. So it's not like this was in space. But no, there's a give and take here. Maybe their plan is just to cancel the Void completely and allow Winstrike and just force Winstrike to play around the Axe and Batrider, which will eventually fall off. So that's a good logic to follow.
Yeah. So we've gone for the second item, Blink, on this Batrider. It seems to me that this item, the second choice of item rather than BKB, implies that Rebel needs, or I think he's building to be a bit more of a space grid. I think he's recognized Kiritich is having a really, or Duracho, sorry, is having a little bit of a rough game here on the Faceless Void. But and he needs to kind of step in and just look to create space, even at the cost of his own life, rather than going for the BKB. And here he goes on that attempt. Seiyu, though, with the Yule Scepter, able to counter-initiate. There's Petushara with the Blink. Instant Sun. They've rooted him up. They have at least the Sun Ray to try and keep him alive, but they're going to have more than enough damage, especially with that Laguna Blade being committed. Vanscore looking to now counter-initiate back onto the Squirrel. I can take Hill Trolls. You think I can't take a Squirrel too? Get back here! But Yamich is a bit too fast with the Scurry active, and will be able to hide underneath his tier 2.
So Vanscore could use the enchant there, which is why they couldn't dispel that Scurry in time, unfortunate. But one of the advantages, of course, of Empire's chat having the Dragon Tail is these immediate kills happen so easily for them. They have so much burst on the Puck, Luna, and Lina. You catch anyone out from Winstrike, and they're pretty much dead. They don't even have the tankiest heroes. Maybe Axe, maybe. But even then, like, compare him to a couple other offlaners, he's not going to survive the onslaught. Trying to save the Squirrel, but Yamich has so little HP, Sunder doesn't feel that great. Over time, though, you know, he's going to heal back up.
That adds up.
It adds up.
What do you think we do to solve this? Because I feel like a lot of our damage right now in the... Oh, hold that thought. I hear a burning lasso, and that is going to be for the DK. He's going to try and TP out as they Dragon Tail him away. They Dragon Tail the axe, so the call doesn't come out, but there's going to be the Acorn shot into the Bushwhack. Nice kill there onto Patushara, and they're going to look to secure a tier 1 tower off the back end of this. I feel like a pipe might be an interesting item here for the axe if he can afford it. I think he's actually going for one, because you look at a lot of this burst damage that Empire are carrying, and for the entirety of this early game, it's basically all magic until Luna's on.
Yeah, I do agree with the pipe pickup here. Make the axe full utility. The only concern of that is, of course, you're going to have to rely on the Void there in the late game. We'll see. Rabel, again, caught by the Dream Coil here. Oh, the Berserker's called. Not going to hit a puck. Too difficult. He's even used Light Strike Array, but he activated the Hood of Defiance. They don't have enough damage to bring down Cheshire Cat. Now with that Hood, Rabel, he has no lasso, but he's still looking to burn down the Enchantress. It's going to be a bit difficult as the puck gets caught in the chrono. They do finish off Pantomime.
What a
with
call.
a pushback, they'll be able to set up on Depressed Kid. And the call stopping Sayu, which means he might also die. The dunk just barely misses thanks to the Lucent Beam. They stopped the Cheshire Cat. Sorry, they didn't stop it. It was just a bit too late. Sayu had enough HP to survive the dunk. Winstrike will lose 2. In exchange, he'll take the puck, though, so they're pretty happy with this. However, they lose Yamich. This might not be the best of engagements. Yamich running through the trees. Patushara just looking for the Dragon Tail. Yamich playing with vision, and he'll be able to get away.
Yeah, really, really nice call coming through from Cheshire Cat, completely stopping counter initiation. That would have been so awful. Leaving Alina outside of a Chronosphere, although obviously it was the right call because you get the kill onto the puck, is potentially a very dangerous game to play, especially when she has Yule. She's got plenty of damage. She might just be able to burst to Faceless Void inside of his own Chronosphere, especially without much strength here on Daracho, and that always just feels about awful. So having Cheshire Cat just beautifully right in that position to prevent that from happening was a great call. As well as, of course, going for the full pipe. I think now we kind of see the benefit of that after the fight, although he did just change it into the Manta style. We'll see what he decides to go for here. I've Caster Curse the item build, but he was just able to tank that Eclipse no problems.
Like, there's a good point for both, right? The pipe means that you're relying only on the Void. The Manta style gives you a secondary carry. I think that's justifiable too this game. So yeah, I also think it's a tough decision to be made here.
It is.
For Cheshire Cat.
It is.
We'll see.
I think that they both got upsides, and I think that you've done well to highlight that one because, of course, as I said earlier in the draft, you know, Rabel is not really going to be able to play like a secondary core. He will try. He's really, really gone out of his way. There was a specific game in Pinnacle I'm remembering where Viking GG had to commit 5 buybacks to take down the Bat Riders just so they could end the game after already securing Megas. I mean, he really made them work for it. If he was on any hero other than a Bat Rider, he might have been able to, you know, basically
Yamich?
1v5.
Okay.
So having that secondary carry is nice.
So Winstrike, they probably will want to play the Bat Rider more as the reliable catch they need, right? The Octarine Core build that we used to see a fair amount. Obviously now just the Blink Dagger into BKB and eventually the Octarine Core, which helps you out with a bit of cast range as well. I think that's probably the best idea for Rabel, as that way you can still secure the pickoffs. The point to be said about these kind of drafts where the stuns are not reliable but still useful, especially AoE catch, is that the further the game goes, the easier this lineup becomes to execute, because the farther away team fights are, so Chrono becomes a much more reliable stun, because it's always off cooldown for these fights. And on top of that, the more you're fighting in areas that, well, in choke points, etc., the more you're fighting against heroes that don't have, you know, ways of catching you, the more you're fighting 5-on-5 as well, so that stops some of the advantages of the Dragon Tail. So as the game goes further, Winstrike will have more options. The only concern is that Luna by then might just be a bit too hard to murder.
She's already pretty huge, Avo. She's got a 4K net worth lead already over Cheshire Cat, and over our enemy midler, or over her counterpart, she's got a 6K net worth lead. So it's fairly impressive as they are going hunting for a squirrel here into the trees. Bushwhack buys Yamich a bit of time. Patushar with the Breathe Fire, not enough damage, 70 HP. We're still alive by the Hoodwink. Ticking down, though, due to the fire damage of Patushar. Another blink in a second. Salve is going to go through, and I think she will live. Patushar more interested in looking for kills elsewhere on the map.
Yep. So annoying. And there's a lot of space created by Winstrike. They're trying to just get slowly back into this game, and frankly, Daracho is doing a decent job of recovery. Now beat the DK. Now is the moment where you can allow Daracho to take all the safe farm in the map. Even if he's going to be slow about it, he'll take it eventually, and you let your Axe and your Bat Rider kind of fall off in that sense. Maybe give some farm to the Axe. You feel like Manta style is the build, and you want to really, really push that forward, but that's their consideration. See, he's now going for the BKB. Like, he really does not know what he needs to do this game among the choices. Do I need to be the initiator? Do I need to be more of a tank here? Do I need to be a utility offlaner? What?
Yeah, it's a lot of choices. You know, maybe he can become the posture among us with the Manta style. You know, that's a potential threat there. I like that. I honestly, I prefer Manta over BKB, if I'm being completely honest with you. It still requires the shard, so you need a lot more farm. Or probably just, yeah, you need a lot more farm, frankly. It's a bit tough. It's a tough decision, especially because if we look at how Empire are itemizing, you know, if he does decide to go back for the pipe, we'll just laugh in your face as he's going immediately for the Aghanim Scepter after the Yules. So he's already got the point booster, in fact. So he's got decent farm. Smiley Knight was at least looking to knock on that tier 3 tower. Did one right click of damage worth, but will be backed off here after Rabel shows himself.
He's going to be thinking about the BKB instead as the safest item. I'd like the choice, by the way, because it gives you the potential to still flex into a carry, per se, axe, rather than having to commit yourself. If you go for the pipe, it completely stifles your item progression. So it's not really an option any longer. So I think BKB is like a good in-between in case you still need to flex it. He understands how tough it is to itemize this game, and I don't mind the indecisiveness when this indecisiveness leads to adaptability, right? Yeah. I think that's the right choice to make.
Real quick, just pointing out a couple of items here as we gear up potentially for our next fight. Aegis is about to be reclaimed in a minute. Puck here, Depressed Kid, having already the Aeon Disc completed, having it locked in the inventory means they can unlock it for basically a free dispel if you need it and if you're below the threshold. So we'll keep our eyes out for that. Going next into BKB, we're actually halfway towards that Ags for Lina. And Luna, now with BKB delivered, is got already another 1k gold in the bank, looking to make best use of this Aegis, as they are going to be able to potentially even get this tier 3 tower. Backdoor kicks in. But I suspect the Luna with the beams. Okay, there's the lasso to pull her out of position. Into the Supernova, the call as well. They're going to commit everything here, but that is going to be the Aegis respawning. Supernova stun's gonna miss as there's the coil onto 2 there. She's right into the Chronosphere though, broken as well by the Sharpshooter. BKB now active for the Luna. The time lock bashes though, doing good work, but not enough. Smiley Knight up to the high ground, but Cheshire with a 3-man call on the dunk instantly. Will find one. The puck is gonna be able to loosen Rub away. Petushar is a bit too tanky. Vanscore though nearly dying to the spins and will certainly die to the second dunk out from Cheshire Cat. Petushar now stunned to one of the trees as at least the LSA will allow him to get off a couple of more spells. In fact, they're gonna turn and absolutely blast Arachio with the Laguna Blade. Petushara will tick down as that vessel doing a lot of work onto him. They're looking for Seiyu. Another call means at least the opportunity for another dunk, but they won't actually need it. Depressed Kid now finally disassembling or assembling the Aeon Disc, able to avoid the bushwhack, but will eventually get this kill onto Rabel and should be safely now away into the river. What a jump for Rebel though. Able to find the Luna.
Yeah. And Cheshire Cat as well. What a Berserker's call to salvage that fight. I think the idea was really good. I mean, you're up against Aegis. You know Luna's going to push no matter what, right? What you need to do a desperate play, and I think that was the perfect play. Put her out of position, punish her hard because she was a bit too cocky and forgot about the lasso. Depressed Kid with a haste rune though, trying to get some surprise kills here on Pantomime, missing the Berserker's call. Wow. Puck is your big issue, right? At one point, you might have to consider Scythe of Vice on someone. We'll see. Just to deal with the Puck, because otherwise catching him is either you chrono him, honestly, and, you know, once he's phase shifted or whatever, or you lasso him. Those are the two options, really.
It's hard.
And with Aeon Disc...
Yeah, neither of those seems like a really fun option, right? I mean, it's not a free puck game, but Depressed Kid, by going third item into this Aeon Disc, really does alleviate a lot of the concerns that a puck would normally have. Especially because you take a look at this Winstrike lineup, and we're not really great at this long-distance poke and prod. You know, like if you're playing with something, I don't know, like a Disruptor, playing with something with really long cast ranges, that can just like proc an Aeon Disc from long range and then go in. We're kind of like either we're in or we're not for this Winstrike lineup, which I like as a drafting concept because at least the team can go in as one or go out as one. We don't have these heroes that want to do different things in the fights, but that is a weakness that Empire have exploited with this last big puck.
I agree. That's why I thought the mobile hero as a mid laner was definitely a good idea. And I like the puck more than the spirits because it also brought the burst that you were talking about. That was also very important. Like the spirits bring burst, but not as much as the puck. Maybe the void spirit is close, but definitely puck is top in that tier. Yeah. Especially because he can itemize for like Dagon later on if he feels like he needs that bit of extra burst. I think that's fine. He can go for the Octarine Core if he feels like he wants to be uncatchable and cut lanes. There is a point where Empire will just want to, like if they want to delay this game as much as possible, they can do that. And despite Winstrike having a good initiation, they still haven't really closed the breach between Luna and Void. So now is the consideration for Cheshire Cat where you go, I should be the carry, most likely. I need to be itemizing Manta style on the Shard. I don't think my Void will ever catch up. I mean, you don't know these stats like we do, of course, but you're seeing the Luna and you're going, oh my goodness, she almost survived. Like, she survived the Chrono, the Supernova, Lasso. Obviously, she had 2 lives, but still. Once she had BKB, she almost seemed unkillable. It was very, very difficult.
You know what I'd like to see on that note, Avo, is I know I'm almost suggesting that they go for Protect 1, although with a Puck, I don't think it's ever really the case. Petushar is queuing up this Aghanim Scepter on the DK, which as an item, I love. It turns you into that secondary, or in this case, potentially even a tertiary core. Does improve your siege. I don't mind this item. I just really like to see a Lotus Orb first. I think a Lotus for our Luna, while it's also lore appropriate, is going to help her out a lot in these fights and be a bane to the existence of Winstrike, because it just becomes a bit more difficult for them to initiate with Lasso or even... I guess that's the only targeted ability that they have, but that's the only one you're concerned about. If you can blink in and get it dispelled, she can use that Satanic, heal it fully, and the only thing you're scared of at that point is either getting permabashed or Chronosphere.
That is a good point, because then these plays are not as or they're just not possible where you put her out of position like that, right? Which is what led to her kills, of course.
Yes.
And this means that the Aegis now doubles or triples in value, because you can just get the Aegis and you're pretty much safe from any initiation they have. Like, Batman essentially has to sacrifice himself for that kill.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't disagree that Lotus Orb. I think it's a good idea here. Maybe the Lotus Orb after the Ags though, because I do think the Ags is high value this game for being able to siege as well reliably.
I get that.
Because my concern with Lotus is that the stats are just not that good for DK. You don't need the armor. The mana is like whatever. You got Soul Ring anyway, right?
That's
the
a good
regen
point.
is not needed either.
That's a good point, and you bring up a really great point as well with the, just getting Aegis, getting that second Aegis in your inventory, and that's your go time. You're going to rely on that. That's why the item exists. But Winstrike do fight very nicely around Roshan, right? So that's the only thing I would be looking to avoid, because then you are giving them a potential into this game.
Oof. I love that Observer showed the vision there, because Yamich was just barely... He didn't quite get to the high ground before he got revealed in the smoke, so they knew they had to retreat. Empire actually want to fight this, but Tushara going in. They want to murder Rabel. Get rid of that potential lasso. Oh, they actually stunned the Axe. Sure Cat could be in trouble, but the Aeon is saving the puck from some other damage. Vanscore, however, is going to die first in this fight. As they use a Supernova in the middle of the fight, they have to break it. Petushara and Sayu are going to do a good job of doing so, however. Pantoem is down for the count, and the press kid's still too hard to catch. Duracho might be forced to use the Chrono. There's the Chrono to the station. They're using... Oh, he blinked it! That's not going to work out! And that means Rabel's dead. Yule Scepter, can that set up for the Void kill? It certainly will, as Duracho's bursted down. The press kid still has the Veil, or they use the Veil here to set up on the poor Axe. What are they going to do here? Cheshire Cat is capable of running away just in time. Smiley considering going further. More. There's the puck, but he doesn't actually jaunt to the orb there. Let them go in the end.
So much damage out from this Luna. Puck doing a great job of just destroying those backlines. That Chronosphere, we had a great setup to protect the egg, or even Chronoing on top of the egg. It just couldn't come out in time, unfortunately, because this Puck, although we did get caught by that initial call from Cheshire Cat once again, huge pat on the backs for even catching her there. We just didn't have the follow-up, unfortunately. Faceless Void and Batrider on the other side of that fight, distracted a bit by the DK, and that's why DK, as this initiating force, that was my concern. We can't take care of him that easily. He is going to be just in your face, much like a Timbersaw would, just distracting them, and Winstrike weren't able to set up the lockdown onto the correct heroes in time.
Yeah, it's the frustration of the Puck, right? That we're talking about the whole time. What stun do you waste on him? And in fact, I feel like Empire has realized this weakness on the Winstrike draft. I mean, they realized from the beginning, of course, because they picked a Puck. But they see the bad and they go, let's murder him first. He's not that tanky. It's an easy kill to get for Empire, to a degree. Honestly, it is 2k HP, it's whatever. Not even that big of amount of armor. And you get rid of the lasso. But now he still has the lasso, so you have to be a bit careful here. As Empire... they're gonna get lassoed here. Okay, trying to take down the Luna in time. She has the BKB though to fight back, but no Eclipse here. Aeon is saving the puck. Smiley Knight doesn't actually have time. He's just gonna die here. Duracho surviving this onslaught, being able to get away with a time walk, but Rabel will not be so lucky. Cheshire Cat also in trouble. He tries to TP back home. He's gonna be unsuccessful. Empire take down 4. Only Duracho survives, and they go, what? You thought our only carry was Luna? Watch our DK and Puck destroy you.
Yeah, that's kind of the scary part here. We still have half duration on the Elder Dragon form. It was a great fight, especially for fighting without Supernova and without Chronosphere. Great usage of that lasso. It's kind of why I was, maybe thinking perhaps we do go for this Lotus Orb this game. But either way, I mean, it just comes at such a great cost to Winstrike. Sure, you took care of the Luna. Sure, you delay the Roshan, but now you're in no position to defend this top lane of Barracks. That's going to be the second lane demolished here in favor of Empire. They can set up vision now. They already have great vision in the enemy jungle and control over the outpost. So Roshan, as soon as Luna is up, is going to just be a trivial call for them. And Winstrike, they may not be ready. They may not want to. It's going to feel like, bashing their heads against a brick wall, but I really think that this last Roche fight is their only way back in the game. They'll at least have Chronosphere for this. We may have Lasso, and all the other ultis are going to be good to go as well.
But what do you go for at this point? Is the lasso on the puck just won't work because of the Aeon disc? So what do you do? How do you kill this puck?
I think the way they started off that fight was actually really nice. I think that fight would have gone a lot better for Winstrike if we had Supernova and Chronosphere. Because the calls were onto the right targets. We stopped the counter. I know we didn't, right? But now we do, right? And there's nothing. It's not like we have got a brand new item for Smiling Knight in the middle of the past 60 seconds when she just respawned, or this Luna respawned, right? So they can do it again. And this time having Chrono and Supernova on top for a little bit more AoE damage and control to supplement the Axe calls, which have been great but not enough, might just do the trick. We'll see now as they go for it.
Petushara knows this. There's the big Abe Petushara. For Rainbow, Cheshire Cat.
Dashes. There's the call out from one. Depressed Kid onto the backlines, but they have actually gone forward with the Supernova. That's the combo we're looking for. They've gotten rid of the DK, sniping him with the Sharpshooter as Smiley Knight stunned by the Supernova. The time locks. Cheshire Cat's on the way back in, but Smiley Knight, he's avoided it with the Manta Style. Satanic activated, trying to lifesteal through it, but he can't get the job done. The Racho nearly killed off by Roche, but it's Depressed Kid doing too much damage. They've caught him with the lasso, though. Aeon Disc already procced. He's still alive. The two-man LSA out from Seiyu's going to save the day as Depressed Kid still will end up falling, however, to the residual damage of the Bat Rider. They've taken down the Luna yet again, Avo, and that's the combo we were looking for.
I mean, the star of the fight to me was Seiyu there. Incredible. Light Strike arrays that stopped Winstrike's initiation and took advantage of the choke point they were initiating through. That Laguna Blade, I don't know if you saw, she actually has the shard now, and it just hit like two heroes there, immediately stopping Winstrike from being able to win and just taking down the Luna.
Ags on the Luna, sorry.
Yeah, Axon. Oh, she isn't the shard. Never mind. Okay, that looked okay. I thought it was okay. Never mind. That's my bad.
You're good.
But the axe is still a good amount of damage.
Oh,
I thought it was the straight line. Yeah. She was actually so well positioned. If she had shard, that would have been awesome. It didn't actually deal the damage. My bad. But still, the Light Strike arrays were to me what stood out for the fight. Winstrike managed, they just had such a tough time because they were forced to fight that, and Empire knew this. They were prepared. They had the Lina in a very good setup. Petushara as well. He tanked the initial smoke. Then you get the Lina to stop him as they're in the stairs. Even if they have the high ground advantage, they can't really utilize it. It was a good fight for Winstrike, but once again, we see the weakness of not having that immediate stun, the Hex, or even, hell, a Dragon Tail, something like that, because she could get off her BKB, and she lasted double the time that was the last fight.
Yeah. Even the Satanic off, she almost sliced through that. I want to say Roshan helping kill that Luna a bit. She did buy back, but now, of course, Aegis in the inventory. We do have now Shard on. We should have Shard on someone anyway, being second Roche. I believe they gave it to DK, who's going to finish off his Axe here momentarily. Not a bad Shard, honestly. It gives you good wave push and good wave clear, but I'm surprised they don't want to give it to the Lina after that amazing performance.
Yeah. Because, again, I was watching that fight. I was so certain because the positioning of her was perfect for the shard. Yeah. So I was just thinking, you must have it. But apparently not. I think the shard for the Lina would be pretty solid. But at the same time, Winstrike probably next fight will try to kill the Lina as soon as possible. You have the Hoodwink that can do that. Yeah, but it's not the highest cooldown. I don't think it's that big a deal. You have an arcane
and it was with an arcane. The only reason I say that is because, if they land that, there's no buybacks on Winstrike. They're all of a sudden in a very tough position for the game. That's why it's big in that sense. Not, of course, criticizing Depressed Kid here. And in fact, there's that Black Dragon.
Well,
in fact, I want to commend Winstrike for that last fight because I think Team Empire, if Winstrike were facing a weaker opponent, maybe an opponent who is not going to be able to read the map, who's not going to have the DK in position, who's not going to have the wards already set up, potentially they are able to take that fight. But Empire, they're good enough, right? They know what's coming and they're ready for it. And in fact, just the mere fact that Winstrike were able to take a decent fight, all of that considering, is really impressive to me.
Yeah. I do agree with that. We'll see now as Winstrike. They did a decent job of that fight, as you mentioned. They can totally still get into the game, and they managed to pull off like maybe 2 or 3 more of those. But now with the Aegis, I think it becomes quite difficult. We haven't really seen Smiling Knight being too impactful in these fights because they keep concentrating on her. Right choice. But
there they go.
Oh, okay. Okay, another technique like before against the Aegis. They kill her. That's the Aegis
call,
gone.
though.
Well,
we don't have call. We need Chrono.
we did use Call. There's the Chrono used. They did stun the Void with Lightstrike Array, but Durach activates the BKB. He's 85 now. Luna's in trouble thanks to the Bushwhack. She can't get away. And Smiling Knight activates the BKB too late. Cooling Blade and dead. Yet again, Winstrike with the repositioning will murder the enemy core. They'll take down the Lina as well. So they're trying. Shisha alone versus 3. They're keeping them at bay while the rest of Winstrike deal with Vanscore. Sayu has been slowed. They want Sayu and they'll get him. That's going to be 3 kills the way of Winstrike. Actually 4 if you count the Aegis there. Pantoim does die to the press kit, but that's not going to be sufficient. And Winstrike, they want this. This game is still entirely possible for their big team fight ults.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is why I think Winstrike are possibly super underrated. I think their 7th place finish in Upper Division DPC doesn't quite do them justice. I think maybe just perhaps showing you how competitive the region is, at least when they face each other online. They just don't give up. They just don't give up. They were, what, facing an 18k net worth deficit with a Luna having Aegis. You got to cheese here on someone on Team Empire. They use all the ultimates, sure, but that's what they're there for, right? You got to cast your spells, as Gary B would say. Cast your spells. Winstrike, they cast their spells. They get these kills, and they're still in it. They still need 2 more of those, but this is definitely a team who is willing to just be patient, push the lanes, farm the items, and wait for the cooldowns and go again.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really stood out to me from Winstrike from forever, which was the capability of always just seemingly take a deep breath and go and say, we can still do this. This is how we play this game, right? Something that's not very common in Eastern European Dota. That said, why do I even mention these things? Yeah, that actually does. Why do I even say these things?
Oh, no.
Duracho? Oh, he's going to get away? Never mind. It was a masterful bait by Duracho.
Did have to use the BKB
If he
for that
died there,
one,
I would have felt really bad for Duracho, or just in general.
Just the most... Why do we say anything nice about these players, Oliver? They always go out of their way to prove us wrong. Kidding.
Maybe I should just start criticizing the teams, and then all of a sudden we'll see the incredible play by Winstrike. Maybe that's the technique we need to do. Winstrike, I don't think they can do this, Richie. It's so difficult for them. Like, their team fights, it's impossible. Come on. They're definitely not going to go for a smoke here and try to fight.
No, not without all the ultimates. We just need to wait for this Chronosphere and we're good to go. I have Scotty next for Faceless Void. So again, he's not going to be this monster in Chronosphere, although I will say, Avo, he's pretty scary with this leveler. That 50 bonus attack speed is not inconsequential, and that armor even very nice to fight versus the Luna. But with Scotty, still a nice item to have versus Luna, as well as a puck if you can connect the right clicks on. Hell, even onto the 2 backline supports, the Lina and Ench are going to be really hampered by that. But of course, that's if you can actually connect the attacks. And that's not something that's guaranteed here, but we're very quickly approaching the points where we're going to have an unstoppable, an immovable object versus an unstoppable force, where Faceless Void is kind of the immovable object, and Team Empire with their net worth are the unstoppable force.
Oh, we'll see. Cheshire Cat is also becoming a bit of a force here. Duracho's actually farmed a decent amount now, so he is a force to be reckoned with, and Cheshire Cat is very close to completing that shard build that Axis loves so much. Once you get that, Empire might struggle, even as Illusion Escape take advantage of it. However, Vanscore is taking advantage of that Illusion Escape more than he is. There we go, he's like, thank you.
Could be some more illusion baits like we saw yesterday with that cape. We shall see.
No, nobody said the same as Melis. that was quite the play. We should have asked him about that play in the interview, because I wanted to know how you felt after that. That must have felt really good.
Good point. That's a good point. We did get some good questions in there. We did get some good questions in there, though, overall.
Well, that's a good player to interview. The guy was, he held nothing back. Yeah, we picked this because of this. I hope if teams are watching this interview, this is why we pick it. By the way,
he's like, counterpick my Pango. I dare you. Give me a Wyvern. Give me a Grimstroke. Let me have it.
He said avoid.
Avoid.
Yeah.
He did actually literally say the Void. Yeah.
Talk about the Void, by the way. Duracho is recovering now. We're reaching the point where Luna is out of slots, honestly, or close to it. She's actually going for the Aeon Disc. And because Void went for the Sanjay and Yasha build, he's not going to use the Glass Cannon, the build we always talk about, which is not really popular these days anyway. And that means that you can actually man-fight the Luna decently enough once you get the Shard. So the Aeon Disc does, I mean, it's good. It's still a good item, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't do as much to cancel the Void as it used to maybe like a couple, like 5-6 patches ago. So there's still good chances for Duracho to be able to man-fight Smiling Knight.
Yeah, I actually think this Aeon Disc is a bigger problem than maybe you're hinting at, because the only way they've killed this Luna is just by completely controlling her and making sure that she can't use any of the net worth effectively, right? We've had like Satanic for what, the last 2-3 fights, and maybe it's been used to recover, I don't know, 100 or 200 HP, right? Like we just have not been able to get off these spells. Now we should say, of course, because this was a Reddit post, in case you're unaware, Aeon Disc does nullify all the damage you do as well when you have Aeon Disc active, so you can't actually lifesteal when you have the Aeon Disc buff. That would be completely bonkers. But it is going to at least allow you to cast your items, and that's the important part about the item, or that's the important part about the Dispel here to me. That might really be an issue for Winstrike, because yeah, they've managed to kill her, what, 3 times now? 4 times even, but 3 times when she's been this farmed, or just about so, but only because we didn't have that one save for her. Now she's got Aeon Disc, and I think it becomes difficult because, again, we don't really have the best tools to proc that Aeon Disc.
Exactly. First of all, this means that now you have a lot of discipline. Now you have to have a lot of discipline when you lasso the Luna, because you have to lasso her and not hit her until she reaches a position where you're comfortable with her, because otherwise it'll just be dispelled. So that's a problem. That's the first thing. And second of all, the BKB. That's going to be her save, right? She's gotten BKB off maybe once before the team fight went, like, before she pretty much died, right? Once where she actually got a real BKB, and she got away with her life, almost, just without the Berserker's Call catching her. So if Smiling Knight can now utilize that before she starts getting pummeled to death, I think she's going to save herself a lot of trouble. And then, you have the Satanic to recover. Satanic BKB, always a really good combo. It's looking pretty solid for Empire for this next fight. That said, Winstrike has pulled off some really good 5-on-5 engagements. The further the game goes, the stronger the lineup becomes because of the nature of their draft, and the stronger Duracho becomes. He's slowly becoming a real carry here.
I'm a bit surprised. We've got this casual quarterstaff in the inventory, which might hint towards... I mean, obviously that's from disassembling the Satanic, but maybe we're keeping it around to potentially go into the Butterfly later on. I would actually prefer to finish off the Dragon Lance, in my opinion. I think giving yourself all that space between you and any of these carries or any of these heroes, specifically, I suppose, the 3 cores from Winstrike that all need to be in your face to do damage, just seems like it's too good of an offer to pass off before we go for Butterfly, because it's a lot of magic damage, or just you being disabled for, like, 10 seconds that's getting you killed here. Not so much, not something really that evasion would help with, in my opinion. So I'd really like to see the Dragon Lance finished. Sorry, the Hurricane Blade finished.
There's Unique, by the way, taking the first game off Bait. We'll see if Bait is able to recover.
Wow.
If you want to watch that match, yeah, it's live on Beyond the Summit 3.
That's...
I mean, wow. I don't know. I thought that was going to happen.
Really? I think I had Bait beating Unique, to be honest. I quite, if
really,
if Dendy only has 1 fan left, that's me, right? I'm that kind of guy. But I'm a bit surprised. I know, we're getting a bit off topic, but during this pause, I feel like we are granted a couple of minutes anyway. As we see, 4 minutes pause time left for the Empire. Shout out to the admins, keeping everything clear. But I think Empire had been in a bit of a slump ever since second season, and I thought for sure Bait were going to be able to get off, a strong start to the series. Granted, it's only game 1. We didn't really get to see how the game played out or what the drafts looked like, but I did have Bait moving on to the 3rd round in my bracket.
Bait usually does better in the second game, though, so, that's also on my mind.
I just got to get warmed up,
No, it's more because they always try to play the oddest draft usually first, or something that's like really theirs, and they're like, all right, let's adjust. That's how I've usually seen Bait, though, or we've usually seen Bait, right? So I don't know. I'm not bashing on that team. I think Bait's solid, but I feel like Unique is sometimes underestimated just because they've been going through a bit of a slump. That team's solid. It's not a bad team whatsoever. Let's see how this match continues, though, as we are starting to see all the wonderful hero models. I saw someone saying that we finally needed a persona for Dragon Knight because they didn't like his base model, and I immediately blocked them. I could not believe you don't like Dragon Knight's base model.
I think he looks pretty good. He is to me
it's
like...
It's so cool. Can we get Dragon Knight again, please? Thank you.
Look how cool he is. He is to me like a little bit of a relic
yeah,
of,
that's
of
Pop-Tart.
like classic Dota, right? That to me is like he has classic Dota, along with like your juggernauts, along with your classic skins for the invokers. You know, who else is like a super Lina, right? Like Lina's another one, very classic Dota hero. But like I feel like you gotta quit being a bit of a Dota boomer about it. We're ushering in a new age of Dota. You know, the anime's out, man. It's here. Envy was right in 2012. Dota will be an anime soon. I mean, he was right. He's ahead of his time. You know, the biggest 50-50 of them all, and he called it. You got to get with the times. I think the new skins in Dota 2, they look good, and I think they're here to stay. We just need, to patch Morphling face, please.
Look, I am a fan of the new Weeby style. I think it's awesome. You know, I like Avatar myself, or rather, what is Castlevania, which is the style that the anime was following. But Dragon Knight's Berserk, okay? And if you are a true, I mean, that's not a good anime, or it's a decent anime, but the manga is where it's at. If you're a true manga fan, you know Berserk is one of the best works of art of our generation. Rest in peace, my friend. So, Dragon Knight, to me, is a remnant of a lost era of beautiful skins. I think he's wonderful. I want more skins like Dragon Knight. I want more skins where I can show people and they laugh at me because it's clearly such a fantasy kind of arc. Okay. I don't want to see the new. You know, I like the squirrel, but Dragon Knight's still my favorite. Favorite hero in Dota.
All right, fair enough. You okay? I can respect that.
Sound effects. I mean, the sound effects are so satisfying. You hit someone with the sword, it's like ching, and you're like, oh yes. And he says, what is it? Something, but gold wins wars. No, steel wins fights, but gold wins wars. Like, yes, Dragon Knight, tell me more. Tell me more about the gold I'm earning. And he's like, cha-ching, cha-ching.
I think this is what so Marcy would sound like if she could talk. I think this is you.
Look, I stand for Marcy, not because I think she's cute, but because I think her tastes are on point. So,
okay. I mean, apparently here, he's a bigger fan. Oh, my goodness, in case you were wondering why Empire were having some difficulties here, I think that would explain it as we get the big disconnect from them. Hopefully they can resolve their packet loss issues. Seems like they're... of course, at some sort of
someone pulled the plug.
Some sort of facility. Someone, mom, unplug the router real quick. We gotta get that one going again. I mean, I'll take this moment while we're talking a bit about Empire. This team is one of the oldest. Okay, restarting the internet. Shout out to the admin. This team is one of the oldest that exists in Dota 2. You know, their team tag. This is one of the stats I've looked up before. Their team tag is, or their team number rather. Each team in Dota 2 has a team number. We're up to like 30 million something for a lot of these newer organizations because, of course, anyone can create a team. But Empire are team number 64. They have been playing Dota since its inception, Dota 2 even, since its inception.
Yeah. I know Empire's one of the oldest orgs. They have had some periods of, honestly, really, really good Dota. And people will remember the Empire, I want to say, leading to TF5? Or I forget if it was TF5 or TS6, but the Empire that was, I mean, they flopped then. But before, they were doing really well in the tournaments. And in usual Eastern European fashion, what usually happens, that if you win tournaments beforehand, you're probably going to flop at TI. But the tournaments before was really, really clean Dota. I mean, that's one of the more standing orgs. They don't really leave Dota for a while, like other orgs, mouse sports. So I've been really, it's hard to be a fan of these teams. Back in the day, it was like Empire, Rock's Kiss, those were the orgs that were duking out. You had also Fantastic Five, which came back, or Moscow 5 back then, actually. But it brings back memories to us Dota boomers. It's wonderful to see them still in the game.
While Grandpa's reminiscing, why don't you tell us a little bit about Cheshire Cat in case there's some fans here, some new fans to Eastern European Dota who might not know about the storied history of the Winstrike offlaner.
I mean, Cheshire Cat is one of the... I really like him because he was back in one of my favorite teams of all, or stacks of all time, which was Power Rangers. The one that was captained by J4, actually the stack that eventually FNG came out of. And he was one of the, I don't know if up-and-coming or the new generation of Belarusian players, because originally Dota was mainly Russian, mainly just Russian dominated, right? You had a couple of players from other Eastern European countries, but then there was an influx of, oh, hey, other countries play Dota too. Now we're actually going with the Kazakhstan or Kyrgyzstani players, and Power Rangers were the first decently solid teams. Back then, they actually managed to beat Navi when they were on their peak as well. Well, actually, no, he was not in that iteration, but close to it. And I mean, Cheshire Cat has been one of the most solid offlaners coming in from that region for like a really, really long time. He's been killing casters and their pronunciation for ages, dude. People have tried to pronounce his name in so many ways. They didn't realize it was just Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. The guy, he has a very, very strong history of tier 2 stacks that did well. And then finally, when he gets picked up by some orgs, like I think it was Unique that was one of the first orgs to actually pick him up and do decently. He was on Pavaga for a bit, as anyone who's from Belarus has been on Pavaga at some point, you know, and eventually also Khan and Winstrike. Then he started to actually shine, and people started saying, wow, this guy is worth a lot, because he just needed the support that he never really got, unfortunately.
Yeah, Pavaga was another one of these teams and orgs, especially Pavaga Junior, that had a lot of up-and-coming players go through it. I mean, you look through their Wikipedia, you know, previous players, and they're like, oh, there's a player everyone knows, there's another player everyone knows, there's the good to go. So we've had a bit of a longer pause. There is a squirrel in danger here, as the press can. Oh, of course, with the scary talent, of course, having no vision, she's camouflaged. I can't quite see her.
Yep.
Let's get us caught back up with this game, though, because, of course, a big disconnect. We've got Roche that's potentially spawning in 70 seconds to 3 minutes after that period. This is going to be Roshan number 3 as Empire with another quick pause here. Unfortunately, it's going to slam the brakes. Oh, misclick. Okay, good.
Oh, misclick. Oh, okay. I thought someone was
missing. Miss Belarus? No.
No, that score is fine.
Yeah, Roshan is going to be the next big point of contention. Everyone has the big ultimates up. Luna's new item is going to be this Aeon Disc, which is the previous way that they've been killing her, is not having a save, not having a dispel, and just putting her so out of position, usually killing her on the first life thanks to the repositioning of Lasso into the Chronosphere, into plenty of damage. So it's going to be up to Winstrike to find a way of getting around that Aeon Disc, which should prove to be rather difficult here. Durancio, at the very least, looking to try and make that a bit easier now with the Eye of Scotty being picked up and fully completed, which means he does not have buyback for any deaths that he may embark upon.
Yes. That is what buyback is usually used for deaths. Let's see if Duracho is capable of surviving this next fight. I like these strategies sometimes, though. You're like, hey, if we lose the fight, like, buyback is not going to save me. I need to just get a good chrono, right? Like, if I mess up my chrono, it's over. So I'd much rather have stats to make sure this chrono works rather than trying to save for buyback and have a potential saving grace. But Empire, if they see this, they should punish this. Petushara, okay, there's a lasso first. Petushara, they're not going to die for this. They'll call him to Luna, use the Eclipse and Melee. Shishikat actually activates the BKB. Shishikat is going to be out of here for now. We still have the chrono. We need for Luna. He's popped the coil, though. That coil might have stopped him. Phantom can't get the supernova off in time, so there's no initiation. And now he wishes he had buyback because he's down for the count. 90 seconds, that Faceless Void. All their eggs in the basket that just got broken all over the pavement. Empire took down the Void. They also took down the chrono. The Phoenix has to use the Supernova Berserker's Call. That's going to be really difficult to do.
Yeah, Avo, unfortunately, that was an Icarus dive into Chronosphere. Pentamum now he's going to have to redeem himself big time, as there's the buyback. Fortification is going to be used, because Smiling Knight is destroying your base. 1 tier 4 tower already taking the dive. There they go, though, onto the Luna. They taunted her up. So much damage! She's dead! Dead instantly! This Axe Manta Shard here, Cheshire Cat doing all the work in the world, although the buyback comes through immediately as they're going to go right back in for the base. There's going to be a lasso in 30 seconds at the very least, but there's going to be now a death on the Cheshire Cat. He does have the buyback at the very least. Petushar just getting ran down, too much magical damage, will end up falling. He's got buyback as well. Coil being used, but they've actually snapped the coil in Dual Scepter, but he's only set himself up for the LSA out from Seiyu. Another buyback, but what is left to defend the base here? Seiyu and Vanscore now beginning to put in some chip damage to the Ancient. Cheshire Cat now going in yet again. Second life here on the Luna. Off the dieback. The spins. It's so much damage into the Bushwhack. We need a little bit more out of the Luna. She's going to pop the Satanic and the BKB. She turns and murders Rabel. Now looking for the kill onto Cheshire Cat. We have a pause. It's the disconnect. It's the DC. But the GG.
Oh, no.
They know this one is lost. Team Empire, eventually the buybacks proving to be the crucial turning point here in the match. Faceless Void smoking out of the base, the Pisa Lay, the Papa Roach, the last resort. It didn't work for Winstrike, and Empire take game number 1 in our best of 3 series.
That must hurt, especially after the pause, having the one last team fight and not being able to get it off properly. I mean, between the Dream Coil, I stopped the Void, and then they just murdered him afterwards. It's tough to go into game number 2 like this if you're Winstrike, especially coming from a loss. Empire played a really, really solid game. I feel like Winstrike managed to compose themselves, and the pause kind of took them out, which I think would explain the disconnect by Rabel afterwards. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really happy for Empire. They played a really good game, but I'm a bit sad for a Winstrike that I think had solid chances and just weren't able to execute them. I'm worried for their mental state in game number 2.
Well, we are going to be going to a short 1-minute break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Daniel Offen to break down game number 1 a little bit more.